Hey guys, welcome to You the Boss podcast. I'm your host, Pam. This is episode 6. I'm so excited to, at this point, just be sharing with you guys and learning a lot and doing a lot. I'm also excited to finally be entering into spring and getting into the warmer months and just getting outside and doing so much more throughout our longer days now. Today we're going to be talking about working hard and kind of what that means and a little bit of kind of what, personally the pandemic has kind of taught me. I was thinking the other day about the term work smarter, not harder. And, kind of what that means. And again, just kind of what I've come to realize through the pandemic. Everyone in the last 12 months has been at home longer than usual. I won't say spent less money because we've been out doing a lot of online shopping, so I'll say spending our money differently. Some of us have picked up different skills in this pandemic. Some of us have become so much more self-aware and learned about ourselves. I have personally learned a lot about triggers, about myself, about my personality type. All things that, to be transparent, I thought I had figured out, but life is a journey and it's a learning experience. So I for sure do not have anything figured out or covered. So there's my transparency. But we're going to be talking about just straight up, if you're listening to this, there is a 85% chance that you're working too hard. And you're probably going to say, no, I'm not doing enough. And I'm here to tell you that you're working too hard and you're not working smart. And you might be wondering now, well, Pam, how can you say that? You don't know what's going on, or maybe I do. Maybe you're one of my close friends and I do know kind of what's going on. I do know, your struggles or whatever is going on right now. But I'm just here to straight tell you that we are working not smart enough, myself included. I had this epiphany the other day where I was talking to my husband about something, and we're in the process of planning our reception, and we're doing 80 different things. And I said to him, I just kind of feel like, not that I'm not worthy, but I feel like I haven't worked hard enough to go in that direction. And the conversation wasn't even like with him. It was like I was saying it out loud to myself, where I was saying almost like I didn't deserve to reward myself for the different things I have done or the different things that I have come to achieve. And like, I said that to him at like 6:30 p.m. and I went to bed that night at like 1 a.m. And between that time, I just kept thinking to myself, where does that notion come from? Like, where did I get that from? I know in my mind what I do. And of course, we're always capable of doing more, right? Like, that's the straight truth. And if you think that you can't do anymore, like you're at your max capacity, I want you to check your screen time on your phone, computer, and TV, and then we can have a discussion. And that's, again, myself included. But the pandemic has, in some fashion, kind of shown me that having 20 pots boiling is not always the best. It's always great to dig your well before you're thirsty. And I'm not saying don't give up a little right now and try to save for a rainy day. Like, that's not what I'm talking about. But sometimes, and this kind of ties into my episode from last week, sometimes we get so caught up in the manual grand thing of what we're doing, where, let's say, for example, you're making mud and you're worried about collecting the rainwater so that you can put it in the dirt so that you can make the mud. And I feel that sometimes we become so transformed into just working hard. I had a friend say to me 10 years ago, I was working, actually 11 years ago now, I was working as a waitress and I was working in retail at the time, and I was in college, and I was leaving my house at 7:30 in the morning and coming home at 12 o'clock at night. Like, I was really doing the midnight oil thing and really doing this whole thing. Sometimes I was coming home at 2 in the morning from the waitressing job. Like, I was really, really pushing hard to help my mom pay some things and whatever. And she was like, are you working to live, or are you living to work? And I haven't spoken to her in years at this point, but I always think about her saying that to me. And specifically now in the pandemic, where I've felt kind of stuck, I've felt kind of trapped. And I know I'm not the only one feeling this way, because if you know me at all, you know I'm the strong friend, like that. I'm that title amongst my friends, where like it's almost to a fault, because like I don't know I'm in a storm until I'm literally in the eye of the storm. But I always think about that saying, because overtime is great. Overtime is great when you're single or when you don't have kids and you're in this short period of time where you have to pay something or you have to purchase something to kind of continue pushing through your daily life. So for example, if you're saving money to buy a new car because you have to get to and from work, but also you kind of need a little bit of a luxury of being able to drive yourself places as opposed to paying for Ubers and for the bus and the train and that kind of a thing. But at what degree do you keep saving for that vehicle, and then you get the vehicle and then you're just still working overtime now to maintain the vehicle, as opposed to getting a vehicle maybe a little more affordable and then still having some money to put away so when the maintenance comes you don't feel it? At what point do you, in your fitness goals, you guys hear me reference fitness goals because that's one of the things people can relate to, right? Like going to the gym and you're looking, let's say, for example, you're looking to gain weight, because I know that's not necessarily popular, but it is a real thing. And you're looking to gain a little bit of weight because you want to fill your hips out. Or let's make this a little less gender specific when it comes to hips, and let's just talk about our arms. You don't want your arms to be flabby, so you want to have some biceps, right? And now you're like, well, I have to go to bed at 10 because I need to be at the gym at 5:30 so that I can get to work at 7, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But now you're giving up time with maybe a sick parent. Or maybe you're giving up time with your parent in general. They don't have to be sick. Maybe you aren't seeing your friends as much because now you're going to bed earlier and you're not really making time for those relationships. Now you're working hard towards this thing and you're not temporarily giving up. You're kind of like tarnishing some things that are really precious to you. Going a little bit further, going a little bit more into specifics, you're looking to lose a couple of pounds and you lost 5 pounds this week. And you don't reward yourself. You say, I should have lost 10. I shouldn't have eaten this. And you talk down to yourself. And Now the next week you don't lose any weight, and now you're really in the dumps, and now you didn't reward yourself. Now you're hurting your hard work. You're not rewarding the little stepping stones. Like, I don't mean if you lose 5 pounds, go buy yourself a $300,000 house. Like, and that's cheap in northern New Jersey, by the way. So, I'm not talking about that, but you're not rewarding yourself. You're not saying, you know what, I am going to have that donut tonight because I did lose 5 pounds this week, and I did eat healthy, and I did eat all the meals I prepped like this many days in a row, and I did drink my gallon of water. No, you're saying, no, I gotta go hard. I gotta get this summer body. And like, it almost kind of like hurts your muscle capacity. It hurts your fat loss capacity because you're not supplementing correctly. You're not really rewarding yourself. I can say it in the concept of like, you're trying to drive the car on E as many miles as you can go. And that actually hurts the engine. And it also hurts your trip time. And it also hurts the car in general. And ultimately your pockets, right? So we're working so hard and we're putting so much time in, especially now, now we're working from home. So it's like, oh, no problem. I'll work overtime because I'm home. I'll work overtime because I'm home. And then it's like, yeah, but what about your significant other when they come home? And I know you're listening to this like, well, I don't have anybody here. I'm here living by myself. I don't have a significant other, or I just have my dog. And transparently, I'm here to tell you that, like, okay, other than that couple of extra dollars on a paycheck, what is overtime doing for you? What's it doing for your relationship? What's it doing for, those close relationships, not even just romantic, your friends? All this overtime and all this work. Again, it's okay temporarily. It's okay to say, I'm exhausted and I've been exhausted for 3 months, but come May, I'll have achieved this, and like, it's done. You have a deadline. And I think that we get so caught up in this work hard, gotta work hard. And like, I come from being a child of immigrants that are from the baby boomer generation. So my parents came here, one with not a completed 8th grade education, and I think my dad might have had a 5th or 6th grade education, maybe. And all they knew was pay everything in cash and work hard. If you're not at work, you're home sleeping. And it was a great example for me to see how hard my parents worked to give us what they could give us. But other than going to DR in the summertime, I never went on vacation. And my parents partially didn't know the language, so there were things that they were like unfamiliar with, but they just wouldn't travel. They wouldn't take road trips. Their road trips were to Brooklyn when I had an aunt who lived in Brooklyn. Like, that was the extent of that. And I think we went to West Orange or East Orange a couple of times because we had like extended family there. But they worked so hard. They worked so hard to give their children a better way of life. And I'm not by any means knocking that or regretting that, because my parents made me who I am. But my dad didn't reward himself. My dad, he worked for 30 years at a factory, and there wasn't a lot of reward for him because after he retired, I think he died like 7 years after he retired. He worked more. He worked harder more than he was able to enjoy. And if you know anything about me, I'm crazy about both of my parents, and I always bring that up, and I always say that because, again, my father was human, but my father was a man of honor. He was such a hard worker. Everyone knew that about my dad. My dad was a super in the building that we lived in until I was 17. He worked overnight, and then he would come home at 7 o'clock in the morning and take out the garbage and clean the hallways. And, you know, when I got older, I took pride in being like, hey, Dad, let me clean and let me be cool. But my father did that for 15 years before I was old enough to care. And he worked so hard and he put so much into this factory and into this building, and he died and nobody from that job came after 30 years. And nobody that owned the building we lived in for them 20 something years, nobody came and said, I'm so sorry for your loss. There was none of that. The neighbors came, you know, neighbors care. And we became family with so many neighbors. But ultimately, you're pouring so much hard work, so much energy into your job, and so much less into your relationships. And the pandemic has taught us that, like, you could be here tomorrow and gone. You could be here today and gone tomorrow. Not just from sickness, just from a heart attack, just from a helicopter crash with your 12-year-old or 13-year-old daughter. You know, we become so affixed in, I gotta get up and go to work tomorrow, I gotta get up and do the laundry. And I'm so guilty of this. And I want you to carry with you for the rest of your life that working hard is never as good as working smart. Working hard is not a badge of honor when working smart is so much more valuable. Transparently enough, working out and burning 600 calories in a workout is not nearly as important as making sure you eat at least 1,800 calories so that you can supplement what you lost and still feed your body. It is not nearly as important for you to go to the doctor and get blood work every year if you do not eat a healthy diet and take your vitamins and drink water every day, not just for the summer, not just seasonally. Take care of your body smartly. Yes, you know, if you're a woman, you will at some point get pregnant or your metabolism will slow down and you'll gain some weight. Weight is okay. Here to tell it to you. Men too. But are you healthy? Can you go up a flight of stairs without huffing and puffing? Are you working smart on your body? Not just trying to binge diet and binge workout and then eat pizza and wings all the time. I've never been a fan of hearing the story of like, yeah, your metabolism will catch up to you. Yeah, it will. But I'm more concerned with your blood pressure and your diabetes than I am in any type of way with how much grease is in your food or how much salt isn't in your food. And I'm more concerned with how you're taking care of you than I am with how many hours you're working. Because in case you didn't know, in this pandemic, you will get another job. You won't get another chance at calling a loved one. You won't get another chance after you have a stroke to regain that ability. If you're at a certain age and the stroke hits a certain way and it's there long enough, it could kill you in your sleep. And no one's perfect. I don't want this to be a somber thing. I want this to be a reality that we've all learned in the pandemic, that working hard is great in bursts. In closing, I want you to know that being strong is also knowing when to rest. Being a hard worker means knowing when you need a chance to heal. Being strong, being a hard worker, being at your best means recognizing when you're not and recognizing when you need to take a step back to rest, to heal, and refill your tank. Because work will be there tomorrow. The person that you're not calling on the other end of the phone might not be. The trips get paid for from the overtime. I'm with you. But at what extent are you working hard to go on a trip that you're so exhausted that you barely enjoy because when you get back, you have to go back to work overtime? Rest, heal, recognize that the pandemic may be gone at some point in time, but you still need to work smarter, not harder. Thank you for listening. Come back again next week for another episode of You the Boss podcast.